Then one of the 7 angels who had the 7 bowls came and talked with me, saying to me, "Come, I will show you the judgment of the great harlot who sits on many waters, with whom the kings of the earth committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth were made drunk with the wine of her fornication." What does the root of the word Babylon mean? To mix. So it is that Babylon expresses the confusion we deal with when we walk in the mix of the knowledge of good and evil, and not in the harmony of the love that fulfills the law. This is pictured in the Genesis parable and the story of Adam and Eve, where eating from the tree of knowledge typifies our ability, or better yet, our inability to follow the law of God in our conscience. In these passages, the phrase "many waters" is defined by the following. Then he said to me, "The waters which you saw, where the harlot sits, are peoples, multitudes, nations, and tongues." Evidently, the effects of the great harlot are worldwide. The term harlot is defined by Strong's as a strumpet, figurative, an idolater. A strumpet is an old-fashioned and derogatory term for a woman who engages in sex acts in exchange for pay. It is considered a highly offensive and outdated word. Harlot is the feminine of the word meaning, a male prostitute, as venal. Venal describes someone who is easily bribed or corrupted. It suggests a willingness to sell one's influence or principles for personal gain. Finally, the word fornication is defined by Strong's as to act the harlot, that is, literal, indulge unlawful lust of either sex, or figurative, practice idolatry. Sex acts in exchange for pay, someone who is easily bribed or corrupted, selling one's influence or principles for personal gain, indulging unlawful lust. All of these fit hand in glove, do they not? And the primary theme? The inordinate love of the self. In direct contrast to all of this, Jesus taught the following. Then Jesus said to his disciples, "If anyone desires to come after me, let him deny himself, and take up his cross and follow me. For whoever desires to save his life will lose it, but whoever loses his life for my sake will find it. For what profit is it to a man if he gains the whole world and loses his own soul? Or what will a man give in exchange for his soul? What will one give in exchange for their soul?" An exchange involves 2 parties. So in keeping with this, the great harlot commits fornication with the kings and inhabitants of the earth. Once we recognize that Babylon's fornication involves exchange, it brings us to the following. Also, it causes all, both small and great, both rich and poor, both free and slave, to be marked on the right hand or the forehead, so that no one can buy or sell unless he has the mark, that is, the name of the beast, or the number of its name. This calls for wisdom. Let the one who has understanding calculate the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. Here we come to some of the most confusing passages in the Bible, where imagination has had a heyday, advancing such crazy theories that only lends to the confusion. Note where I've placed exchange next to buy or sell, which is more than appropriate. Also note that we're told it causes all to be marked, where all includes both small and great, rich and poor, and free and slave, and it refers to the beast rising out of the earth. Is this not everyone in the world coinciding with Babylon's position on many waters? No one, without exception, can buy or sell unless he has the mark. In other words, there is something that oversees every exchange we make. Christ made this clear in Matthew 16:25 and 27, stating, "Whoever would save his life will lose it, but whoever loses his life for my sake will find it. And again, he will repay each person according to what he has done." Now, Let's go through a crash course on the understanding of the mark. Strong's defines this word as a scratch or etching, that is, stamp, as a badge of servitude. This thought takes us back to Genesis and the story of the two brothers, Cain and Abel. As almost everyone knows, Cain killed his brother Abel. As a result, the Lord told Cain, "You are cursed from the earth, which has opened its mouth to receive your brother's blood from your hand. When you till the ground, it shall no longer yield its strength to you. A fugitive and a vagabond you shall be on the earth." In response, Cain tells the Lord, "I shall be a fugitive and a vagabond on the earth, and it will happen that anyone who finds me will kill me." How does the Lord respond? "Whoever kills Cain, vengeance shall be taken on him sevenfold." And the Lord set a mark on Cain, lest anyone finding him should kill him. This word mark is the same word rendered as signs in Genesis 1:14 regarding the two great lights. As we learned in part 4, the two great lights are signs of the two covenants, old and new. What was the purpose of the mark that God placed on Cain? That if anyone killed him, vengeance would be taken on him sevenfold. The word sevenfold means that vengeance, in its fullness, would be exacted. This leads to the following. "Dearly beloved, avenge not yourselves, but rather give place unto wrath. For it is written, Vengeance is mine, I will repay, saith the Lord." When God marked Cain, he took ownership of vengeance. For this reason, we are not to avenge ourselves, but give place unto wrath. Our word wrath is a key word, leading us here. "Because the law worketh wrath, for where no law is, there is no transgression." How does God avenge? By means of the law. And how is the law first typified? By the moon and its light on the fourth day of creation, which serves as a sign of the old covenant law of God. Two great lights, or signs or marks, if you will, foreshadowing the two covenants that would begin with Abraham. As we learned, these set the seal on the foundation of the world on the fourth day. Everyone's exchange takes place under the governance of the two great lights or two covenants of our Creator. This is why the rule of law exists in every part of the world. It did not spring up out of ourselves. Rather, it rose from within because God placed an invisible moral compass in all of us that illuminates the good and evil that all of us are challenged by. For this reason, Paul could say, "For when Gentiles, who do not have the law, by nature, do what the law requires, they are a law to themselves, even though they do not have the law. They show that the work of the law is written on their hearts, while their conscience also bears witness, and their conflicting thoughts accuse, or even excuse them." Does the mark of Cain correspond to the mark given by the beast? It does. Since the subject of the mark is one of the most confusing, let's continue our examination in the next study. Feel free to leave your comments, criticisms, and suggestions, or to subscribe to my channel. Thank you for being a part of Grain of Wheat Publishing.